We're discussing once again Meir Simcha, Meir Simcha of Dvinsk, and I would like to tonight focus on the Meshech Chochma. We'll, as we've been doing the previous times, use our PowerPoint. First, I'd like to speak a little bit about the Sefer itself, then do a piece that deals with many aspects of Bitachon, that is in Akev, and then finally, God willing, I'd like to share some a very interesting anecdote, more precisely, two interesting records of an interesting anecdote about Rav Meir Simcha. Shalom Aleichem Zev. You know, I'm going to share the PowerPoints. You should be able to see it. Moment. Okay. Okay. For Meir Simcha of Dvinsk, we'll call it clinging to God. Now, this is the first printing, as far as I know. This was in Tuf Reish Pei Zion. And it was right after he passed away that it was printed. Now, that itself is very interesting, that Meir Simcha's Sefer was printed only after he passed away. Well, sometimes people do that because somebody leaves writings, and then only after he passes away do they find the writings and put them together and publish, or they collect articles. Meir Simcha published. He finished writing the Meshech Chochma when he was young. However, his whole life he did not publish it, and only published it after he passed away. So here's an account of why that was the case. After Meir Simcha v'atzmo ishtabech b'sifro Meshech Chochma ke'oleh be'erko al or sameach. Meir Simcha himself, he felt that the Meshech Chochma was better than the Or Sameach, was greater than the Or Sameach. The Or Sameach, as we saw last week, was his sefer on the Rambam. Both are classics in the Torah world. A sefer Meshech Chochma Zeu, a sefer Rishon shechiber Rabbi Meir Simcha, was the first book that he put together. Asher bedato haya lotzi me'or miyad, and he wanted to publish it right away. Ulam Zekano, his grandfather, Hagon Mefursim Rabbi Hananya, his grandfather stopped him. He warned him. If the Meshech Chochma comes out first, it says Shimcha B'Tor Bal Darshan. So you'll have a name as a Darshan. And you're going to mess yourself up in the future. And even if later on you put out the Or Sameach, it's not going to help you. Meir Simcha Shamala Tato, he paid attention to his grandfather's advice. That Meshech Chochma Pirsem Le'achrona. So he first put out the Or Sameach, and only afterwards the Meshech Chochma. He himself kept the sefer in a safe. He protected his manuscript, and the Or Sameach he was a little less worried about, or a little less protective of. So Meir Simcha Hirshiv meod et sefer Meshech Chochma v'ashomer al haktav yad kevavat eino. He would watch the the manuscript like the apple of his eye. He would always quote this Meshech Chochma. He worked much harder on the Meshech Chochma than he did on the Or Sameach. And he hopes that it will make an impression on the people that understand. Pam nichnas harav Rab Mishal Paltinsky Zal El Rab Meir Simcha. So he came in to visit Rab Meir Simcha, but and they got to talking about the Sforim. Rab Meir Simcha summoned that Spol Sefer Or Sameach Shayim Munach Al Shulchan. He pointed to the Or Sameach and he said to this Rab Paltinsky as follows: Sefer Zeh Yacholti Lechaber Gal Achshav Le'Tziknati. I could have put together the Or Sameach now when I'm old. Only when I was young was I able to put together the Meshech Chochma. Now, the Meshech Chochma got acclaim from all sorts of quarters. It's got it is first and foremost a parish on the Chumash. By the way, you can see, I didn't bring it, but Rav Shlomo Yosef Zevin has a book, Ishim V'Shitot, and he has a chapter on the Meshech Chochma and the Or Sameach, on Rav Meir Simcha, and he has a discussion of him as a parshan, as a commentator. So now, just a little bit about the Sefer. It has a lot of straight commentary. It has a lot of halachic commentary, and it also has a lot of thought, a lot of what people call like hashkafa or Jewish or machshava. It combines a number of different kinds of genres of svarim on the Chumash. Now, just a little bit about the different people. HaSefer Meshech Chochma, second paragraph. HaSefer Meshech Chochma haya chaviv ad lachada. That means it was very, very beloved to Rab Chaim Eliezer. When he would look at it, he was very excited. His face shone with the light that was hidden in it. Every Friday, he would learn the Meshech Chochma. Reb Chaim Kreisworth said that. Reb Chaim Eliezer every Friday would learn the Meshech Chochma. He writes that when, again, this is a book written by Zeb Aryeh Rabiner, who wrote a biography on the Meshech Chochma, large book. So Rav Chenech Eiges was the Rav of Vilna. It's the Sefer. He has the Sefer Mercheshes, if I'm not mistaken. So he visited Reb Meir Simcha and he said as follows: Kamuvan sochachnu b'divrei Torah. Understandably, we talked about divrei Torah, binyanim shonim, and different things. V'harbei dvarim kivanti ledato, and a number of things I was mechaven to what his approach was. V'u'arali she'omed b'karov lotzi sifro Or Sameach al Rambam, and he told me that he's gonna put out the Sefer Or Sameach soon. He drashamti amokot mi sefer zeh. I was very impressed by the Sefer. V'yadati she'kesheitzei la'or, when it becomes when it is published, Yaser Roshim Kabir Be'olam HaLomdim Ve'aRabbanim. It will make a great impression in the world of Lomdim and Rabbanim. Just a minute. However, Ein Zot Omeret She'ein B'Yameinu Gadol Shegam Hu Yachol Litmadeh Lechaber Sefer Lefachot Mein Zeh. But there's others that could come up with an Or Sameach. Ulam Rab Meir Simcha Rali Sefer Baktuvim Al Torah, but Rab Meir Simcha showed me a manuscript of a sefer that he has on the Chumash. Asher Pivi Kavenu Meshech Chochma, and he called it Meshech Chochma. Ukshianti Amarti Belibi. When I looked into it, I said in my heart, Shirak Rab Meir Simcha Begaunuto Bekiyuto Vegadluto B'Torah Muchshar Le. I'm not sure what that next word is. Lechaber chibur, lechaber chibur me'ein zel Torah. Only Rab Meir Simcha was able to put together such a sefer. Now, that's from these are all Rabbanim in the Litvish world. When the Sefer Meshech Chochma came out, so the Ger Rebbe, Rav Avraham Mordechai Alter Nigur, so he wanted to get it, and he gave instructions that they should bring him a sefer right away. And he says, just like the Rab Meir Simcha shed a new light on the Rambam through the Or Sameach, certainly his words, which come out with we would say with pearls, but here it's Shoshanim, roses, Befei Rosho ala Torah. And sure enough, when the Sefer Meshech Chochma came to him, he was joyous about it, like Ke'al Kol Hon, V'flig Meod B'Shvacho. And he was very, very extensive about his praise. Now, there is a passage in there that he was especially excited about, but I want to only talk about that next week, God willing. That was a promo. Now, this particular piece is on the pasuk. Es Hashem lokecha tira, oso savod, vosi bak v'ishmo tishaveh. That's a key pasuk about avodas Hashem. Fear Hashem, serve Hashem, cling to Him, and swear and take an oath in His name. Now he's focused. I accidentally put the boldface on Vishmo Tishaveh. I meant to put it on Uvot Tidbak. So he relates to the Machlokas Rambam and Ramban on this pasuk. Rabbeinu Moshe, that's the Rambam. Pirsholin Yalni Dabik B'Talmid Chacham. So he explains that this pasuk, clinging to God, is through clinging to a Talmid Chacham, and that's the Rambam's often quoted words in Hilchos Teos, where he talks about we're not able to cling to a Kodesh Baruch Hu directly because he is consuming fire. By the way, Rav Kuperman Zatzal, in his footnotes on the Meshech Chochma, every time there's a number here, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, that's all Rav Kuperman's footnotes. I didn't bring them here, but they are excellent footnotes. Meaning, if you are considering getting a Meshech Chochma and you would like to spring for the deluxe edition, so Rav Kuperman's edition is excellent. So, for instance, here, so he'll bring the whole Rambam and explain the whole thing. That the Rambam says that clinging to Hashem is through clinging to Talmidei Chachamim, and there's two sides to it. One is learning from their actions, and then you'll be able to come closer to Hashem through learning from the lives of the actions of Talmidei Chachamim. Number two, also just connecting with them, even things like doing business with them, investing their money. Ve'aramban bi'aro ala dveikut hamiyuchad liyachidim. The Ramban says that it's this unique kind of connection to God, which we call dveikus, connectedness to God. They are longing for His name, His presence, in everything they do and everything they think, and they become a dwelling place for the Shekhinah. Now, those are the two approaches, Rambam and Ramban. Says Rav Meir Simcha, asking a kasha on the Ramban, now this he says in a very brief way, but this is really the main point of last week's shir. And I did not plan this. This just, Baruch Hashem, worked out well. We had Siyata D'Shmaya, that his main argument with the Ramban is that a mitzvah must be something that applies to all of Israel equally. That Now, again, obviously there are mitzvahs for individuals. There's a mitzvah for the Kohen Gadol, and there's mitzvahs for Kohanim, etc. But there is a level of Avodas Hashem, which is a baseline level, a chok, not chok in the sense of something we don't understand, but chok in the sense of a law that is equally applicable to all of Israel. So, like mezuzah and like tzitzis, etc. Now, his main point with this is that there are two levels of mitzvahs. Like Talmud Torah, for instance, when he spoke about last time, so there's a level of Talmud Torah that applies to everybody. Kriyat Shema Shacharis V'Arvis. Basic level of learning in the morning and the evening. But the higher level of being constantly devoted to Torah study, that's something that the Torah left for each individual to determine exactly where he fits fits that into the picture. So says Meshech Chochma, it can't be that the pasuk, the mitzvah of Avot Tidbak, is for especially great people to be totally connected with the divine presence. Omnam, lidati, my approach is, he mitzvah pratit, kolelet kol anshe oma. It's a specific mitzvah that includes the whole nation, kol echad v'yarko, but everybody according to where his level is. Meaning, it is something that can apply to everyone in Israel, the whole Jewish people. We have only found hints in the Torah to bitachon. Sorry, I gave it away. This is the topic of bitachon. Sheifligir now. In other places in Torah, in Tanakh, so there's a lot of explicit talk about bitachon. Sheifligir miyo v'kilel oru ragever sheiftach ba'adam b'sham basar zera'o. So cursing one who trusts in man. Bashem batachti, says David HaMelech, I trusted in God. Yisrael batach b'Hashem, trust in God. Yeshayahu, bitchu b'Hashem adeyad. So the Nevi'im are explicit about it, but the Torah speaks about it in a way of hinting. Cling to God. V'anyan kiyesh. Now he divides. He speaks about three different types of bitachon. Kiyesh bitachon musari. Now, Rav Kuperman suggests that really it's not, that the word musari is not necessarily accurate here. Really, it should be muskami. Musari would be morally obligated bitachon. Ke bitachon ha'am b'melech ki hu yidag l'machzoram. Like the trust of a king, of a nation in their king, for he will worry about all of their needs, all of their lack, whatever they lack. That's why he said that doesn't fit in so well with musari. Rather, muskami, meaning a certain agreed upon agreement, that there's a certain, so to speak, contract with the king and his people that he's going to take care of them and they're going to be his subjects. V'yesh bitachon TV. There's also natural bitachon, type 2. A woman trusts her husband that he's going to take care of her. V'yesh bitachon yoter chazak, kebitachon haben be'aviv hamelech. There's even a higher level or a more intense level, that's better, of bitachon, which is a son trusting in his father, the king. Ki yid'ag ba'ado, kemoshe do'eg avor inyanei atzmo, v'yazmin lo kol machzoro. He's gonna worry about him, take care of him, like he does about himself, and take care of all of his needs. Kol eila ha'inyanim nikbetzu etzel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, etzel Hashem Yisbarach. Hu malkeinu, he's our king. That's the first type of bitachon, what he calls bitachon musari, or maybe muskami. Hu avinu, he's our father. Imkein hu yoshienu, and he will save us. Now, That is these three types of bitachon. Now, he moves to it again. He's fleshing out the mitzvah bitachon. Umisibata emuna, why a bitachon? Misibata emuna ki Hashem davuk lenivrav lachin lahem torfam letzorcham ulahagin aleim miamad ve'vacholi v'heder ha'inyanim hanidrashim umargish aleim yoter mima she'argish adam. Now, here I have to say there's another thing which is which was also a hashkacha pratis. Before I read this inside, with my morning shir, I'm learning Ale Shur. I'm learning from Rav Shlomo Volbe, and we're doing a piece about Torah. And in the context of what he's talking about, he quotes an Ibn Ezra on the pasuk Karov ata Hashem in Tehillim. You are close. You're closer than all closeness. Rav Volbe explains that Hashem is closer to us than we are to ourselves. And I think, and then when I saw this piece in the Meshech Chochma, so it became, it was a very simple, straightforward concept that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because he knows more about us, so he is more sensitive to our needs than we are ourselves. It's not that we have all of our needs. Again, a lot of times in my consciousness when I'm davening, so I'm very clear on my needs. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Kol Yachol. He's able to deal with all my needs. So I pray to him, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. But a second thought would say, well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know what I need more than I know myself? Whenever they're in distress, well, he is in distress. He's the one who is truly and eternally able. He knows all of the happenings of a person's life and all of the hidden things in a person's life, and all the different ins and outs of a person's life, the screenplay of everybody's life. He is going to be concerned about their good, more than they on themselves, because we don't have a full picture. So if you can imagine a child who, and obviously an infant, but let's say a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, he has an idea already of what he needs, but his parents know more about what he needs than he knows himself, because his parents have a fuller picture about his life. So Kal V'chomer and Ad Ein Sof, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows more about us than we do ourselves, and therefore he knows more of what we need and cares more about us than we care about ourselves. Wouldn't a person then be trusting, serene, and quiet? And he's only going to do all sorts of now sibot hamuchrachot. I believe he means here the things that will cause the outcome of his needs. Meaning a person is only going to go through doing the things that he needs based on what Hashem tells him he should do. Like the pious one, now when he says the pious one, he's referring to the Chovos HaLevavos in Shabbat Bitachon. In other words, sort of the flip side of the way of a way we might be inclined to think about it. We might be inclined to think about it is that we do what we need to do in order to get our stuff. And we trust in Hashem to help us, that we should be successful. But the way he's describing it is really Hashem's taking care of everything. But I do what he tells me to do. If you will, a mushal. Somebody who has no idea about finances, but he's blessed with money, inherits a large amount of money. He goes to a financial counselor and he says, listen, I know nothing about money. I never learned about money. I took world history in college. I write articles about history, the history of Chinese poetry. I'm not into. I don't know about money. I never was into it. You tell me what to do. I'll sign on the dotted line. I'll do what I have to do. You're in charge. He says to the fellow who's in charge of his accounts, and I simply I don't know what to do. Obviously, there's something lacking in the analogy because we have a sense that we know what to do more than the fellow who, in the mashal, clearly has no knowledge of finances. But that might be just our mistaken sense for HaKadosh Baruch Hu infinitely knows more about what we need and how we can get it than we do. Now, this is Uvo Sidbak. So then again to summarize, as opposed to the Rambam and the Ramban who describe Uvo Sidbak as Rambam clinging to Talmidei Chachamim, Ramban a high level of connectedness to Hashem, and says the Meshech Chochma, the mitzvah of Uvo Sidbak is to have Bitachon. This is something that applies to the whole nation equally. And it's based on the fact that Hashem knows more about what we need than we do ourselves. And so HaKadosh Baruch Hu is certainly providing for us. Now, so this is Uvo Sidbak. Now, why is it called clinging? Uvo Tidbak, clinging to him? Why don't you say Uvo Tivtach? That's the kasha I guess we would all have on the Meshech Chochma. Shekevan sheyitzayer ha'adam shehu davuk le'ashkacha elyono me'Hashem yitbarach. When a person imagines, he has a vivid picture in his mind of a clinging to the higher divine providence, umargish Hashem yitbarach be'inyanav yoter mima shemargish adam me'atzmo, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is more concerned and knows and feels for his needs, his things, more than he does himself. And he wants man's success more than man does want himself. Like Chazal Darshan on the pasuk of, I know by the Egyptian exile, I know their pain. God knows their pain more than they know themselves. That's on Bilam, but I didn't check that out. Footnote 10. Az ha'adam batuach manach. Then a person is trusting and at rest. Ve'ena doeg me'uma li'nyanav, and he's not worried. Meaning, if a person is connected to the divine providence, he imagines himself. Votit bak means imagine yourself totally plugged in to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's divine providence. Ki ma yo'il yecholto neged yecholet haborei davuk imo umargish behiadrav kaviyachol. What is he going to accomplish by himself any more than HaKadosh Baruch Hu's that he's clinging to, that he's tapped in, he's plugged in? V'zenikra dveikut, that's called clinging, dveikus. V'hi mitzvah kolelet b'bechinot shonot l'chol anshei ha'oma lo havdel. And this is a mitzvah that, for each one in his different way, applies to all the people of the nation without any distinctions. Like they said, Rabim machovim l'rasha ba'boteach b'Hashem chesed yisov avenu. There are many. The Rasha has many pains and one who trusts in Hashem will be surrounded by chesed. So the Midrash says something wild. Afilu Rasha uboteach b'Hashem chesed yisov b'venu. Even if he's a Rasha, but he trusts in God, he will be surrounded by chesed. Meaning, this mitzvah of trusting in God, clinging to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the way where we're plugged into his hashgacha and we know that he knows more about our needs and he's able to do more for our needs than we are ourselves. So even if he himself is a Rasha, meaning he doesn't always do what God says to do, but his bitachon will evoke chesed. Shebeinyan shubotech yosheu Hashem mitzad chesed. God through chesed will save him. Hu yoshienu. That's who Moshienu as a chesed. Now back to the Ramban. V'hinei inyan bitachon chashav hachasid eser madregot. The Chovos HaLevavos listed 10 levels of bitachon, and the highest level is sheyimas, third line, sheyimas ba'olam hazeh u'machmadav, he will despise this world and all of its pleasures. Yivrach b'machshav tov v'nafsho b'gufo Hashem, he'll run away in his thoughts and his soul and his body to God. V'yishtasheh b'zichro bivdidut, and he will be joyous when he mentions him, when he's alone, when he's by himself. And if he's with a group, lo yitavakim l'rtzono, all he's going to want is God's will. He's going to be much more occupied by his joy about love of Hashem than people are about the things of this world. That's what the Ramban spoke about. In other words, it says for Meir Simcha, we can make an equation. The Chovos HaLevavos' highest level of bitachon, level 10, is equal to the Ramban's Botidbak. V'hinei divrei Yoshua lanu la'ad shekodem oto tziva liYisrael livtoach b'Hashem ki hu yilchom avoram. Yoshua, before he passed away, said, trust in Hashem that he'll fight for you. The land of Canaan. Don't try all sorts of things to try and get the nations to come close to them and make all sorts of treaties with the 7 Canaanite nations and marry among them. Meaning, don't think you're going to have a different way of dealing with it other than what Hashem told you to do. Rak yu b'tuchim b'Hashem ki hu yerdefem v'yirshu et atzam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will trace them away, and you'll inherit their land. And that's what he said. Ki im b'Hashem Elokeichem. Why is he running? By the way, why is Rabbi Simcha running to this pasuk? Because of the formulation. Ki im b'Hashem Elokeichem tidbaku. I didn't check out the pronunciation. Tidbaku, whatever. Kasher asitem arayom hazeh. Cling to Hashem. Says Rabbi Simcha. What he means is trust in Hashem, like you have done until today. Milat asitem le'ed ki lo amar kasher hayitem. Not like you were clinging to him, but like you did. Lehorot shelachmu ka'arayot. They fought like lions. Bituchim b'Hashem, trusting God. Vayorosh Hashem b'pnechem atel noad ish b'pnechem. Nobody stood in front of you. Ki Hashem lokechem hu anilcham lachem. God fought for you. Zeu mitzvah bitachon. That you do in a way where you're trusting that Hashem is taking care of you. Now, there are 2 realms where bitachon especially manifests itself, and that is the level of economic prosperity and the level of security from enemies. And sure enough, uvinyana mazon, but this also, I think, experientially, when people often speak about bitachon, so usually it is with economic prosperity, it's with dealing with the enemies, and I will add probably also health issues. Like people do all sorts of things. People are involved in all sorts of things in Muslim and avoda, in davening and learning, but when they talk about bitachon, I believe a lot of times people are mostly preoccupied with bitachon in their financial life and their economic prosperity, and also in things having to do with life or death, enemies, sickness. And that's the container of the man that they were shown. Man does not live by bread alone. Anybody who's worried about tomorrow, he's lacking in his belief, in his trust in Hashem. Hashem will provide. Now again, we are not negating, the Meshech Chochma is not negating doing what Hashem told us to do. We're supposed to work for our parnasa, v'rapo yirapeh, we are able to heal using medicine. We go out to war. But in those areas where we are told to do pe'ulot, we're told to act. However, those are the areas where clinging to God through trust in Him most expresses itself. There's all sorts of warnings about trusting Hashem in war. Don't be weak-hearted. That applies to all of Israel. Sorry, that is, the whole nation of Israel should not be afraid of the enemy, but each individual has a mitzvah of votid bak. The Gemara darshaned. And the drash of the Gemara in the end of Ksuvos about clinging to Talmidei Chachamim is from another pasuk, uledavkabo, which is connected with the pasuk about Talmud Torah. Le'avas Hashem lishmoa bekolo, to love Hashem, to listen to His voice. Uledavkabo, that's clinging to Hashem through Talmud Torah, through Talmidei Chachamim. Avaluvoti bak shebachar mitzvat yira et Hashem lokecha tira v'oto tavod uvoti bak uvishmoti shaveh. That's bitachon after yira. Shezeh yeder amiti shelo lira zulat Hashem yitbarach. You should have no fear of anything other than Hashem. That's the connection between yiras Hashem and bitachon. Et Hashem elokecha tira. You should fear nothing other than Hashem. Uvoti bak, and cling to Him because He's the one you're going to trust. There's no man, enemy, or cause, meaning problem or what have you, except for Hashem Yisbarach. He is only trusting in Hashem. Now, let me just see what comment came up. Right, definitely. Again, this is part of the topic of balancing your hishtadlut and your bitachon, what you're supposed to be involved in, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us guidelines for that. Plus, there might be a sliding scale, like in a parallel way that the Or Sameach spoke about the sliding scale for how much people should be involved in intense Torah study. So higher levels of bitachon, there might be a sliding scale for each individual about how much hishtadlus, how much he should be involved. Now, in his time, there was a shift in Torah study. It sounds. A lack of bitachon in our generation was a cause for people distancing from Talmidei Chachamim and keeping their children away from Talmud Torah. Meaning, people are worried about what's going to be with Parnasa. What's going to be with them? And when you really look into this, trust in Hashem will cause a person to want to cling to Talmidei Chachamim And that's a long drasha. You see what he's doing. He's connecting, he's coming closer to the Rambam, meaning he's showing how his uvot tidbak of bitachon is going to be related to the Rambam's uvot tidbak of clinging to Talmidei Chachamim. Now, the last 2 points, Shabbos and Yetzias Mitzrayim, are especially connected with bitachon. Shabbos really should be universal. I mean, God created the world, so Shabbos should be a world day. However, Shabbos is given only to Israel. Why? Mishum Shabbat tzarich lekaimo midot habitachon, lekiyumo midat habitachon. There's a need for bitachon to keep Shabbos. Sheyidah shekol haparnasa ktuva elav. That whatever parnasa he has is already set for him. ולכן ירמיהו, אחר שהפליג על מידת הביטחון, ואמר ברוך הגבר שיפתח בשם, והיה השם מבטחו, after Yirmiyahu talked about that, אמר אחר כך על השבת, כי הבוטח שמח על שביתת השבת. Yirmiyahu connected Shabbos and ביטחון, כי הלא המלאכה בשאר ימי החול, הוטל עליו מהבורא יתברך לתמים ידועים אליו. God has reasons for us working during the 6 days of the week. Have a look at the Chovos HaLevavos, his wonderful, beautiful things. Ushvitato kishvitat ha'eved, shesamech b'shvitato, shemamin she'eno chaser elav me'ashgachat haborei alav b'pratiyut. And resting is like the resting of a servant after he's worked for 6 days. And that's what he says. Zacharta ki eved hayita b'Mitzrayim, vayotzi Hashem alekecha misham. Remember, you were a slave in Egypt, and God took you out of there. His divine providence is on you. So you should also trust. You're not going to lose anything from your parnasa. God's blessing is going to bring wealth. By the way, you see that he's touching on all the things that were in his generation in Eastern Europe, the issues, the drifting away from intense Torah study and worrying about the kids going to learn, and people worrying about, will I make a parnasa if I don't work on Shabbos? Chazal say, V'ashirei Bavel, the rich ones of Bavel, mipnei shemechabdin asar Shabbos. They honor, the people in Bavel are rich because they honor Shabbos. Therefore it ends, therefore Hashem ends, therefore I commanded you to do Shabbos. His medayek al kain tzivcha. I commanded you, the people of Israel, not other nations. They didn't experience the intense divine providence of Am Yisrael, and therefore they won't be able to keep Shabbos properly. Zachu leHashabbat. So when did Am Yisrael was zocha to Shabbos? Kodem Matan Torah. Kishenichnasu lemidbar be'eretz shmama. When they entered the desert in this desolate land, v'lo shalu mayayin parnasuam rav kazeh. And they didn't ask, where is this great nation going to have parnasa? Zacharti lachesed neurayich. So they merited God remembers the chesed of our youth, lechte chacharai b'midbar, that they went after God in the desert. Kevan shenitnasu lebitachon kadol kazeh, when they entered this great bitachon, ukshenatan lehem aman, when he gave them the man, natan lehem Shabbat, he gave them Shabbos right away. Shenakel lebali bitachon kehem l'shmor et Shabbat. People who have great bitachon, like Am Yisrael did, they showed their bitachon by following God into the wilderness, and God gave him the man and Shabbos together. Finally, his last point is Yetziat Mitzrayim was full of bitachon. Lachin kasher lakhu b'nei Yisrael haPesach ve'echinu oto ki kechatzot halayla yamutu kol b'chorei Mitzrayim haya bitachon hanifla ve'emunah gmura b'Hashem. Imagine Yetziat Mitzrayim taking the Korban Pesach and the trust that they will be able to, that all of the Egyptian world is going to, at Chatzot, all the firstborns are all going to die. They had to trust that Hashem is going to do that. Kim lo haya b'rega zeh, lo nishtayer b'hem sarid. If that wouldn't have happened, so the Egyptians would have decimated them. Lachein hayu re'uyim lekabel Shabbat. Therefore, Am Yisrael, after going through Yetzias Mitzrayim, was ready to receive Shabbos. V'lazet tzarich liot habitachon ve'emunah gemura, lachein nikra Shabbat hagadol. That Shabbos, the great Shabbos, Shabbos hagadol, was the Shabbos of Bitachon. Now, I just want to end with two things, and there is a apparently somewhat famous anecdote about a certain miracle that Meir Simcha was connected with, and I guess this shows his great bitachon as a person. It is recorded by none other than Isser Harel, who was the head of Israel's Mossad and Shabak. He was the Mumuneh, and David Ben Gurion trusted him with the whole Secret Service. He was the child of somebody who was a Talmud of the Volozhin Yeshiva, and at a certain time in their youth, they had to move, and they left Lithuania, Isser Harel and his family, as a young boy, and they went to Latvia, and they lived in Dvinsk. And so in his book, Bitachon v'Demokratia, he writes about an episode that happens. There was a river, Davina River, I think they call it, that ran through Dvinsk. And by the way, if you want to see, the Dvinsk nowadays is called Dagva Pils. And it had three different names: Dvinsk, Dennenberg, and Dagva Pils. And so I checked, and the river that goes through, just as then, the whole story is about how the river used to flood. So this is a perennial problem. So in those years, the river would flood, but the people of the city had taken care of it by putting up, I guess you call them retainer walls, on the outside of the river, and they had a plan for dealing with the floods with their engineers. However, one year, the ice and the snow started to melt, and the river was flooding because the melting took place earlier than usual, and the water was flowing with power, and there were giant blocks of ice in the water, and it knocked down bridges, and whole villages were swept along with this flooding river. And this powerful stream was coming to Dvinsk, and people were worried that it was going to flood the town. And he says, we packed up all of our stuff, and we went to the second floor of the house where we were, and everybody was scared. And it was Shabbos morning, and everybody was where the water was rising, and it was coming very, very close to the top of the walls, and they were worried that the whole town was going to be. It's a big town. I think it's the second biggest in Latvia. Riga is the biggest, and they were worried that this whole thing is going to go. Anyways, his father was debating whether to go to shul, and his father finally went to shul. And he says, during davening, people ran into the davening, and they said the river's going to flood everything. Meir Simcha got up, wearing his talis, and he walked to where that I guess you call it embankment is, and The whole Kehila came after him, all with their talesim. He got up on that wall. He stood on it and he prayed for the water coming down. Says Isser Harel, through his davening, as he was davening, the ice started to move, the ice broke, and the river and the water started going down. He said, Isser Harel, I was standing there on that wall, a couple steps away from Meir Simcha. He said, Ma'amad zenechkach bezichoni. This is embedded in my consciousness. It's always in front of me. Throughout all of Dvinsk spread that there was a miraculous thing, and he brought it. He said the Christians of the town, among them known anti-Semites, all came to see the water going down and what the rabbi did. Rabbi Simcha didn't see this as a wonder at all. V'lo atzmo kadosh, he didn't see himself as a holy man. He came just to pray to God. And not to do a miracle. Just I want to close with the same episode is accounted. Again, these are both brought. These are the two last pages in the Dvarim volume of Rav Kuperman's edition of the Meshech Chochma. So there was somebody named Rav Shmuel Elkin Zatzal, who was a great Gaon, and he knew everything backwards and forwards. The Shas, the Rambam, the Shulchan Aruch, Torah, Shach, Taz, Rishonim, and Achronim. He had a tremendous memory, and unfortunately, in his old age, he went blind. But he was just continuing to learn as he was learning before, because he had a phenomenal memory of it. He had everything inside. Anyways, that's just that's a background of the story. And it was at a Sheva Brachos, so he related a story that happened when he was 12 years old, and he lived in Dvinsk. And it was a half year after the Or Sameach was appointed Rav of the city. So he was a young Rav. I believe he was in his 40s. We have the dates from last week's year. So he goes through the same thing, and he describes how the river that goes through Dvinsk, and he describes that year's special flow of water, and he speaks, but with much more precision. There were only 13 centimeters until the water will go over and reach the bridge. So there was a strong worry of flooding. Everyone was scared. Many already ran away. The Gentiles ran with fear to the priest, but he himself was afraid and had given up hope. And so he says, what are we going to do? But the priest said, listen, there's a serious danger here. We got to go to the Rav of the Jews. That's what he says. Excuse me. And so even the Gentiles ran to the Or Sameach Zatzal. There was a large group headed by the Meir, who came to the shul. Again, Isser Harel apparently was a younger kid, but this Rav Elkin was 12 years old at the time, so he knew what was going on. And this whole delegation came to the shul where the Rav was, and they described the whole situation. Meir Simcha heard the whole story. He said, bring a wagon. When the wagon was brought, they all went, and they went to the bridge. Rav Elkin writes that he stood right near Rav Meir Simcha's feet. Isser Harel was a couple steps away, but he was right at Rav Meir Simcha's feet. he heard everything he said, and the river was rising even more, and it was 7 centimeters away. Everybody was trembling with fear, and Meir Simcha said the following: Sar Shel Yam, divine minister of the sea, Ani gozer alecha shetatzor, I decree that you should stop. The water continued going up. V'az chazar v'amar pam shniya, I said a second time, Sar Shel Yam ani amar da'asra, v'ani gozer alecha shetatzor. I am the Rav of the town, and I'm decreeing that you should stop. V'gam hapam hazot lo azar, and that didn't help either. Chazar Rabbi Meir pama shlishit, the third time he said, Ami amar da'asra, ani gozer alecha la'atzor, v'im lo ta'atzor, asim alecha atcha b'cherem. I decree that you should stop. If not, I'm going to put you in cherem. V'hine mamash be'otel rega nifseka geut hamayim v'chol hanochachim partzu b'tzakot tze'ala rosh ha'ir itkofef l'umat harav nashak al yado. At that moment, the water descended. All of the people broke into screams of joy. The Meir bent down and kissed Meir Simcha on the hand. So that's that account of Meir Simcha's own bitachon. God willing, next time I want to do one more piece of Meir Simcha Dvinsk, and then we'll follow the subsequent weeks with the rugged Shabbat. Thank you for joining. Be well, Batzlacha Rabbah. These are many facets of bitachon, according to Meir Simcha Dvinsk.